Andrew Lopez, Brody Miller, happy Sunday morning, whenever you're watching this. LSU with a 45-16 victory over 500 yards, 570, I think, in that range.
Yep.
How do you feel about how the LSU offense played tonight?
I mean, obviously, Ole Miss is not a good defense. It's one of the absolute worst in the country by a wide margin, actually. But at the end of the day, I don't think that's the point. I think the point was we have yet to see this LSU offense just flow for a full football game. And I mean, sure, there was 2 stalls, but other than that, it was the best offensive game they've played by a pretty wide margin.
Yeah.
And as bad as you want to say this Ole Miss defense is, it's still an SEC defense. It still has SEC bodies on it. And we expected them to come and show out against Southeastern, and they did not. And we expect them to show out against Louisiana Tech, and they played pretty well, but stalled. So just for them to have a game like this where Joe Burrow was combined for nearly 400 total yards of offense, and the run game played well, and like 8 different receivers had good games. It was the first time we've seen it all flow together.
Yeah, 28-13 in the third quarter. Ole Miss scores, and you're thinking,
Yep.
here we go again. You think this might be the same thing where they score against Miami and they slow down the second half. They score against Southeastern, they just don't blow them out.
Yep.
Same thing happened against La Tech. It was good to see them click and get going in all sorts of ways. 292 yards passing, 96 yards rushing. That to me was really the key, because they need type of performance from him.
Absolutely.
All around, and running for him seemed to open up a lot more things.
90-something yards. But no, and I'm glad you brought up the third quarter thing, because I think that is the most important thing that probably happened today. Was
Jerry Martinez also brought up the third quarter thing.
Thank you, Jerry Martinez. No, is that they keep stalling, later into games, and they finally had a game where they stalled 2 drives in a row, and then Terrace Marshall makes that 6 with a nice 5-yard pass to Justin Jefferson in the corner, and then they come down the next drive and get another field goal. It's just like, okay, they can stall and then bounce back, and that was the most important thing I think LSU needed to see. Which is funny, because they were critical of themselves for stalling again in the third quarter. They were saying, we got to fix this third quarter thing. Then Joe Burrow was very critical of it. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah, it was still it was the first 2 minutes. The first 2 drives. I mean, you should have had a 3-and-out.
Yeah.
You get bailed out with the roughing the punter.
Yes.
You probably should have had another 3. I mean, you did have another 3-and-out after that. The big thing to me also, the defense tonight, holding Ole Miss, which was the number 10 passing offense in the country, tops in the SEC. You held them to under 200 yards. You ended up, I think, with 6 pass breakups total from those DBs, and it seemed like you almost thought that the big pass play was going to come for Ole Miss, and they tried again and again and again and again. And it was a big step up, and the defense talked about the fact that this was still a defense that gave up well over 300 yards last week to Louisiana Tech, and they give up under 200 to Ole Miss. That was a big thing for those DBs to be able to bounce back.
And even to build on that, exactly what you're saying, but also they gained, I think they had 13 points in the last 17 minutes probably, and they started moving the ball in the third quarter. All the offensive success Ole Miss had was after the game was already over. It was when LSU was basically playing pretty big cushion defense. They were letting them just kind of nickel and dime. But when you look at the first quarter and then the first 25 minutes, I mean, Jordan Tiamu was, I think he started 3 of 11.
3 of 11. He finishes 19 of 38. But to me, and Greedy talked about this. You talk about nickel and dime.
Yeah.
Greedy talked about it was their job to shut down the outside, and he did. Christian Fulton, Kelvin Joseph, Greedy Williams, they shut down the outsides.
Christian Fulton had a very good bounce back game.
Very good game. He probably should have been credited with, I think, more pass breakups than he was. But they shut down the inside, and they forced everything inside. And Ole Miss looked to the outside, and they just never saw it. Jeff points out, still no pass rush. Ed Ogeron, very mad about no pass rush.
Yes, I think it's the 2nd game in a row and the 3rd time in 4 games, I think, that he's been very critical of what's going on in the pass rush. I mean, part of that's always just going to be you lose Caleb on Jason. You're going to lose some pass rush, but they're very, and he doesn't put it all on the players. He puts a lot of it on the scheme. He puts a lot of it on, we need to be more creative, but it's definitely an issue. I mean, Jordan Tiamu had a lot of time in the pockets.
Starting to rain a little bit harder. Y'all can't figure it out, so we're going to wrap this up. LSU 45-16. John points out they give up points twice in the red zone. This could have been a lot worse. You maybe 2 touchdowns are off the board. You also had kind of maybe the mishandling of the clock situation at the end of the second quarter. Greedy Williams gets that penalty to give them basically what ended up being 3 points, but still a complete offensive performance from the LSU. Defense pretty good against an Ole Miss offense that was ranked tops in the country, one of the top teams in the country. He's Brody. I'm Andrew. Thanks for watching.